All right, my Renowned fam, welcome back to the Renowned Leadership Podcast. I am your host, Stephen Morris, and I am so excited for y'all to be here, and I have an amazing guest lined up for y'all today. Today, I have the amazing Darren Tessitore. Darren is the founder and CEO of Thrive Reviews. He's also a father and a public speaker. He's a pretty awesome guy with an amazing backstory and an amazing business. So without further ado, here we go. Darren, like that's pretty cool. So your grandparents, I think you said, they came across Ellis Island? Is that?
They did. It's a funny story. I was actually taking my kids to the Statue of Liberty one year. They were I have three girls, so they were younger. The oldest was around 10, and the youngest was like 3 or 4. So we get the pass to go to the Statue of Liberty, and part of the pass includes stopping at Ellis Island. So, because it's like a boat ride. So you take the boat to Ellis Island, and you take the boat over to the Statue of Liberty. So we got off at Ellis Island, and I went over to this computer that they had there, and I searched and found my grandfather. And I actually found my grandfather, his father, brother, 3 brothers, and mother. And then you can actually buy a copy of the book that they signed in on. So I got a page printed out of where they all signed their names coming in like 1912. And then they had a picture of the boat. So I bought a full poster-sized picture of the actual boat that they rode over on.
That is so cool.
It was so cool. And we had no idea that we were even going to find any of this. I didn't even think of it. And anyways, it was a pretty neat experience. It kind of made Statue of Liberty not that exciting. It was like,
right.
We're totally more into this picture of a boat. We're like, dude, this is so weird.
Well, I mean, I totally get that it made it kind of less exciting, unless you think about it from the perspective of that was the first American experience your grandparents and great grandparents had.
So wild, right? I mean, imagine being like 10 years old and riding a boat from Sicily all the way here. I mean, I don't know where they probably took it from England. I think it definitely didn't come directly from Italy, but still, it's like, man, I couldn't conceive of taking a boat across the ocean like that. It's wild, man.
Yeah, it's definitely insane. And, thank God they did, because look at you now. It's hard telling what direction your family would have taken if they'd not pursued that American dream.
I know, it's funny how the little tiny decisions that you make in life can change the course of everything. You just look at, like, if you go back and think of the things you did and you go, wow, what if I hadn't moved into this house that I bought? Or what if I hadn't gone here and decided to take that job? How everything has changed because of these tiny little courses that we change or decide to do, and then you go down this path. And anyway, it's just a neat thing to look at.
Right. Every decision has a consequence.
It's like when we bought our first house, I looked at over 60 houses to find the house that I wanted. I'm 26 years old. I only have a budget for this kind of a house. I got so aggravated with my real estate agent that I went out and got my real estate license on a weekend so I could find my own house. I'm like, how hard is it to get a real estate license? Oh, I can go and do this 2-day course and then take a test, and all I need to do is find a broker. So I just found a broker, and I was like, hey, can I just be a realtor under you? I'm going to buy my own house. You'll make a little commission. He's like, yeah, go ahead. So I became and now I'm a realtor, and I'm calling up and scheduling my own showings. Hey, I want to see this house. I got to schedule a showing. How about Saturday at 9? Okay.
That's amazing. And so you went from part-time real estate agent to award-winning public speaker. How'd that happen?
It's funny. I started public speaking mainly because I got into drug education. I had a bunch of friends die from drugs and alcohol at a very young age, and that really kind of set this whole course on fire. Because later on, my kids became, when they're around 12 and 13 years old, when I started seeing my friends die, I'm like, I need to find something to make sure my kids don't do drugs. So I found this group called the Foundation for a Drug-Free World, and it's a free drug education program. So I started volunteering with them, teaching my kids about this material. And then I started teaching their school. And then I was teaching the superintendent. And then literally within a year, I'm on stage talking to groups of 500-600 teachers, telling them about this free drug education program. I've since then I volunteer and I do about 20 events a year still. I train close to 5,000 teachers a year, or educators, teachers, police, on how to use the program. And I show them how to use the free drug education program. And then that got me on stage and got me really comfortable with talking to people. So I just started doing it with whatever business I was in. I started delivering seminars on process improvement and production, increasing production by streamlining process and how to actually make things smoother within your business. Because that was the industry. That's the industry I've been in for over 20 years, helping businesses grow by streamlining productivity and really just moving the distractions out of the way and making things smoother. And I also have a technology background, so I would use technology to do this. One of my first really large clients was a steel company that cut up large coils of steel and basically turned them into parts for manufacturers, people making air conditioners, garage doors, TVs, things that would use sheet metal. They would cut it up. And I became friends with one of the executives there. He had me come into his plant, and they wanted to know why their machines were not running. What was stopping the production line and slowing it down? So what I did was I put sensors on one of their main machines in this plant in Atlanta. And then I found an app that would allow me to customize the reasons it was off and on. So the app tied to the sensor, and it would tell me when the machine was on and when the machine was off. And I could look at the machine operator could look at this app, and it would have a running timeline of the machine. And when it was off, it would turn red, and when it was on, it would turn green. And what the operator would do is touch the red button and then touch the reason why it was off. Because I wanted to find the reason for the downtime, like why is it stopped? And we found two main things. We found that the crane operator, the guy picking up these coils and moving them to the machine, they would wait for him about 60%, about 50% of the time. And then 40% of the time, they would wait for the guy making these wooden pallets for the metal to land on. So the metal comes out and lands on the pallets. I'm like, so these guys are just out of sync, right? So then I start diving deeper, and I'm like, why are they out of sync? It's not that hard to give them a list of things to cut. You must know in advance what you're going to be producing that day. So I went there and I started watching, and I just observed. And that's an interesting point, because if you just observe what's going on with an unbiased viewpoint, anything, you can start seeing what I call outpoints, the things that shouldn't be there, the things that are anomalies or out of place. They'll start popping up from looking. So I watched this guy come running out to the crane operator and hands him a list and says, you need to cut this right now. The client's waiting. And it's like an hour into the shift at like 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, holy crap, this dude just completely disrupted the entire flow of the entire operation. He changed the production line. And every day this was happening 2 or 3 times a day, this crane operator was getting these rush orders that needed to be done now by sales. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so crazy. So I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to synchronize this whole group. I went back into the office, and I looked at how do you get your orders? How do you then take those work orders and make it so that the operators can know what to do? And I said, okay, so let's do this. Let's build an app for the crane operator, and let's put a little tablet on his arm, because he's using this thing on his waist like a remote control to control these cranes. I put this little tablet on his arm that told him the next 3 coils that he needed to grab. And when he picked one, he hit the button and he marked it as picked. And then the next one would pop up, right? It was ingenious, because he could then look and go, okay, go grab this crane, go grab this coil, hit a button, go grab it. And then what I did was I took that same system and I gave it to the guy making the pallets. I put a little TV screen up there, a little touch screen, and said, okay, this is the next pallet you're making. When you're done, hit the button and the next one comes up. We did that. And literally the machine went from 65% of the day it was off to being on 95% of the day.
Wow.
It was amazing. So then we implemented it in all three of his factories on all three of their production lines. And that's kind of how I started getting into like really doing process improvement in a big way, because this is a multi-million-dollar factory. They're doing 60-70 million dollars in production a month. It's huge. So how then I just took that, now that I had that on my resume, and he saw what I did, he just started telling his friends about this guy Darren. And literally ever since then, because I still do that as my main job. Ever since then, I haven't advertised, I haven't marketed. I've been put on stages. I've been written up in Metal Magazine and a bunch of other like factory magazines, and it's literally just been word of mouth, one thing after the other. Like for like I went into one factory one time, and the guy's stamping metal. He has this big sheet of metal. He stands up, walks 3 feet behind him, grabs this piece of metal, comes over, sticks it in this machine, pushes a button, and it stamps out this thing, and then he picks it up and turns around and walks 3 feet and puts it down. And I look at his boss. So I'm walking the line with his boss, and I said, this guy's gonna freaking lose his back in like 2 months. And you can see he's got a brace on, he's getting old. I'm like, hey, you got a swivel chair? And they brought me over the swivel chair. So you got two big ass tables, and they brought me these two steel tables. They wheeled them over on each side of them. And now the guy's going like this, picking up the metal, swiveling, putting it in, pulling out, swiveling. And he looks at me and he's like, dude, you just saved my life. And I'm like, yeah, and I also increased your productivity by about 85%, right? You're taking less breaks, you're more comfortable, you're happy, the job's getting done faster, everybody wins. And it cost me $1,000 in tables and a little swivel chair, right? Like stupid stuff like that you can just streamline. And it kind of goes back to the point of observation, by just looking unbiasedly without any weird judgments about what you think should be, or even what people there think should be, and just observing it. These things just start popping in my head, and I'm like, oh, I can do this. Oh, I can do that. I can do this. And if the budget's there, it's great. If the budget's not there, sometimes you can't do anything, right? But if they have the money or they have the budget, and you can prove the increased efficiency will save them X amount of dollars, then the budget's there in a second, right? Anyway.
Yeah, well, that's a really interesting point, because that's something I used to teach in the military a lot, to young leaders. When you get into combat, you you can always have a plan, but the enemy has a say so in that plan, right? So your plan never works. And a lot of time you would see new leaders that had never had to lead through a combat situation kind of freeze up, not know what to do. And so what I would teach them is, okay, so what you do is, you basically have to slow time down in your head. You take a step back, you observe everything happening around you. Once you've observed, then you have the clarity to make a decision. You make a decision, you execute said decision. So I mean, that observation piece is probably one of the most important things, in my opinion. Any leader, business leader, military leader, anybody can master in their life is the power of observation.
Yeah, so true, man. So true. It is absolutely critical, especially in business, especially in your business, or if you're working in a business, just being able to look and not listen and just observe. Don't take the opinions. You can hear the opinions and hear what they have to say. That's fine. But just looking at what's going on, and you take this 3,000-foot approach of observing the business, and the little things you can find, the simple things you can start doing that don't take a lot of work, are mind blowing. They really are.
Right.
And that's what I've been doing for years, and that's how I led to this new company that I have, Thrive Reviews, because I observed what's happening with businesses these days, what's happening with how people are searching for things on the internet. Where is this all headed? And it came to me one day when I was out with my daughter, and I'm looking for a restaurant, and we're reading through reviews. And here we are reading through all these reviews of trying to find a good restaurant. We think we're in like Atlanta or something like that. And I'm like, wow, how are these guys getting their reviews? And that's when I started looking. What are people doing to get reviews? How do they get reviews? And who leaves a review? Right? because I left a few reviews, but I wasn't like this avid review leaver, and you always have that one guy that's like the review connoisseur, and they're going to write a 3-page paragraph on the restaurant, right?
Right.
Who wants to be in like Review Magazine or something like that. But your average person, their reviews aren't going to be that in depth. They're going to be short and simple and sweet, but they're going to leave a review if it's not hard, if it's a really, really simple, fast, easy cycle. Like if I say, hey, can you leave me a review? And I send you to Google and say, yeah, hey, leave me a review. Go to google.com, find my business and leave me a review. I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, sure. Okay. Nope.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I may want to, and I really might want to leave you a review. And I might start. The next thing you know, I'm on Google and I go, oh, yeah. How old is Samuel Jackson again? And here I am looking up something completely irrelevant, right? Anyway, it's just funny. So that's when I started figuring out, well, how do we streamline this process? How do we make it smooth and efficient and easy? And then how do we automate it? How do we make it so that you can automatically ask people to leave your reviews, right? Which is key. As we all know, automation is super, super important, but it does have to have that human element. Like the customers we've seen that are getting the most reviews use the automation, but add the human touch. And they add that, hey, Mr. Customer, are you happy with your service? Like a conversation. How's everything going? Did everything go good? Did it go as you planned today? Yeah, it was great. You guys are awesome. Thanks so much. Perfect. Do you mind doing me a favor? Do you mind helping us out? Do you mind helping me out? Something along those lines. Can you go and leave us a review on Google? You're going to get a text or an email in the next few minutes after you leave. Just click on the link and leave me a nice little review. That would mean so much to us. And it's like, wow, that changed 10 extra reviews.
Right.
Right. Just that little ask. And it doesn't have to be a beg. It doesn't have to be, corny. And if you can set it up so it automatically lands in their text or inbox, or have a QR code and just hold up the QR code and say, hey, click on this QR code right here and leave me a review. After you ask them, hold up the QR code, they point their phone at it, boom, they're right there leaving you a review.
It's funny you say that. Sorry to interrupt you. Stay where you're at. But I am not a reviewer. I've only left one review that I can remember in my life. And it was just that the server came up to me. It was an amazing restaurant. Server came up to me and was like, hey, would you mind leaving us a review? Just scan this QR code and then, answer a few questions. That's all you got to do. Oh, yeah, sure. Did it right there. That's literally the only review I've ever left in my life.
It was,
and you're absolutely right, because he made it so simple and asked me to.
Yeah, it was, and you liked the server. You probably gave him a really good tip, right? He was nice to you, or she was nice to you, and it's a help. The way I look at it, right? If you kind of look at people in general and how they function, they like helping. People like to help other people, and especially people that they like, right? You're walking down the street and you see an old lady struggling across the road. I guarantee you're going to run over and help her get across the street. Most people would, right? That's just human nature. Help the person. Or if you see the old lady fall down on the side of the sidewalk and she's laying there, you're not going to walk by and step over her. You're going to be like, are you okay, ma'am? And help her out, right? That's what we do. It's the same concept of getting a review. What does that review do for your business? How much is it really worth to your business? If you can quantify that, right? Okay, you got 2 Mexican restaurants, both in the same town, within 5 minutes of each other. One of them has 9,000 5-star reviews, and one of them has 8, right? And I drive into this town in, let's say, Florida. It's a resort town, right? It's a tourist town. And I type in, I want Mexican tonight, Mexican restaurant. Boom, I get 2 pop up. One's got 9,000 reviews, and one of them has 8. I'm going to be like, what the hell's wrong with that place? I don't even want to look at it, right? I'm going to go to the 9,000 one, literally like that, right? And I may even read the reviews, then sort by 1 star and look at the 1-star reviews first. And then what's interesting, what people don't realize they do, is they'll look at those 1-star reviews, and then they'll look at the response. Everybody has a bad day. I get 1-star reviews from my family all the time, right? but it doesn't mean that I'm a jerk and you should never talk to me again, right? Whatever happened. I something, whatever, right? So, but you got to look at, well, what happened, and then what did that person who got that 1-star review do about it, right? Like, oh, I'm so sorry that the food was bad that day, our chef was out, and we had a backup chef, whatever. There's some type of a response, taking responsibility and ownership for it. And that's really what it is. What it really comes down to is you as a business have to own that you did something to piss that person off, right? You upset that person with your actions, someone in your business. So handle it. Take responsibility for it. Don't be like, you're a jerk, don't come back, we don't want you. You respond to
Right.
something like that, own it. Take responsibility for it, or put them in their place if they're really, really just being that jerk, right? So one of the things that we do in our company is we respond to all of the Google reviews within 24 hours. I have a team of people, college student writers, and my leader of the group is an English graduate from a school up in Boston, and it's funny because it's not hard to respond to the reviews. It just takes paying attention to what's going on and personally writing a response. And if it's a 1-star review, we'll consult with our clients. So we had this one client has a driver ed school, and they left this one scathing review. Worst driver ed school in the world, like 3 paragraphs of just nasty hate, right? And we all know that person, they're out there, right? They just wanted to be a jerk, right?
Right.
So my writer goes and reaches out to the customer and says, okay, tell me what happened. Like, what happened? So that's the first thing we do when we get a 1-star review for one of our clients. What actually occurred? Give me all of the data. And like, well, we took this guy out on a driving test to get his license in Texas. And he's driving down the street and an ambulance comes up behind him and he doesn't pull over. He just keeps driving. Well, per Texas law, you have to fail them if they commit a moving violation during a driver's test. It's an automatic failure. And if they don't do that, they can lose their ability to do more driving tests, right? They make this promise with the state that they're going to follow the rules. And rule number 1 is the guy commits a moving violation during your test, automatic failure, no questions asked. Well, he doesn't move over for an ambulance. That's a moving violation. Probably a misdemeanor in Texas, right? So then I'm like, okay, that's perfect. Find us the law. So they emailed my writer the law. She then writes this great response. Steve, thank you so much for picking us to do your driving test. We're so sorry that you failed, but just so you know, per Texas laws, if you commit a moving violation during a test, it's an automatic failure, and you didn't pull over for an ambulance, right? And I wish they had a dash cam recording of it, because that would have been so great to put that video up there, but they didn't, right? But anyway, what they did was they took that 1-star review and they turned it into a 5-star response.
Right.
Because if you or I were going to pick a driving school and we read this review, we're going to go, that guy's an idiot. I'm not making my decision of using this driving school based on that guy now, right? Because you read the response, you're like, yeah, he's pissed off. He went and did driver ed for a year, finally scheduled his test 6 months out, takes the test and fails. I get it, you're mad, but you failed for a reason. It's on you. So anyway, the point of the whole conversation is of this topic is you have to own it. You have to own your mistakes. You have to own what you've done. You have to take responsibility for what you did, because you created that. You caused that effect. Even if you're the business owner and your server did it, or one of your sales reps did it, or one of your receptionists caused a problem with somebody that came in, you hired that person. You put them in your business. Take responsibility for it and own it and handle the upset. And all they want to do is be acknowledged that they're upset. They just want you to know, look, man, I had a bad experience. This guy was a jerk and people need to know about it. And if you get enough of those, then get rid of them. We all have leeches in our life. We see them all the time. They just come and they latch onto your arm and they just start sucking the life out of you, right? And I've made a habit personally in the past 20 years to get really good at spotting these leeches and just flicking them off my arm.
Right.
Get the hell away from me, man. You're not my friend. You're not here for me. You're here with some ulterior motive, trying to achieve something else off of my back. I don't need that. And every business is going to have a couple, so if you can spot them and get rid of them, or stick them in the basement.
So, all right, everybody, I just want to interrupt the podcast really, really quick and take a minute to tell you all about the brand new Renowned coaching system. This is a system I've personally designed and put a lot of thought and effort and love into. It's an amazing system. Let me tell you real quick why it's an amazing system, because you get real time analytics. You get to see exactly where you were when you started, where you currently are, and how close you are to achieving that ultimate goal that you set at the very beginning. You get analytics for everything. More importantly, the accountability with this system is the best you'll find anyplace else in the world. I get to see everything that's going on and make sure that you are staying accountable to the goals you set. It's truly powerful. You guys just got to see it for yourself. Go to renownedleadership.com, go to the top right hand corner, click book a call. You'll get to come talk to me personally, and I will personally give you a tour of this system. It is truly amazing. It's one of a kind, and it's truly, truly powerful. I'm so excited. I can't wait to show y'all. That's all I got to say about it. So let's get back to the podcast. So to your point, one of my favorite examples of this is the bank USAA.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a vet, so I bank through USAA. It's a military or veteran only bank, and they by no means have the best products out there. I can find better rates, better products, probably tenfold at other banks, especially local banks. Right? There's no branch I can go to for USAA, which is really inconvenient. So why have I banked with USAA all these years? Because they have the most amazing customer service in the world. More importantly, they have the most amazing integrity of any bank I've ever worked with in
Wow.
my life. And so, in my opinion, that is. I'm sure there are people out there like, oh, USA sucks. They did this. Okay, yeah, fine. In my opinion and in my experience, that is the case. And so, whenever I will bank with them forever, be for their customer service and their integrity. That is so important to me as a consumer. I will go out of my way to support a business that I identify has good integrity. Right. So in your example of that driver is Ed, totally my kids would go there because they showed me they had integrity.
They didn't bend the rules for some idiot who didn't pull over for an ambulance.
Absolutely. That integrity is such an important piece. And you see all the time companies that don't respond to their negative reviews. And I think it's even more detrimental when they respond to the positive reviews, but don't respond to the negative reviews. But those negative reviews, in my opinion, are amazing tools that you can use to show your integrity and your commitment to work with your customers, even if they are, as you said, pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, hang on, let's figure out the problem because it's important to us that you're happy.
So true. And it literally humanizes you too, right? People like to work with other people, right? We don't like working with these voids, right? Like, like you just said about USAA, it's a bank. And the reason you're there is because of the customer service. I guarantee you talked to real people and they were real and nice to you. And they treated you with respect and decency. They had integrity, right? As opposed to like, okay, Bank of America. I don't think I've ever talked to a person at Bank of America, right?
Right.
And I stopped banking with them years ago for that reason, because it was just like, I'm just one number out of a billion customers, right? I'm not a real person to you. Well, I'm giving you my real money that I worked
Right.
really hard for. Right. I want to be able to ask a question. And I had a little bank in my town in Boston that I worked with. And I could just call the vice president and ask him a question. Hey, I have a quick question about this. I need to do this, this, and this. How can I do that? He's like, oh, hold on a second. You're all set. I got it figured out for you. It was a real human communication connection, right? Anyway, super, super important. That's why
Yeah, absolutely.
make these, get your customers to give you reviews by asking them, and make it simple, and then make sure you respond to every single one of them. And another cool little pro tip on that is, if you add keywords to your responses, Google will actually see those keywords and rank you for it. So
Really?
they'll put you higher in the search engines by the keywords that you're putting in your Google review responses. Now, you don't have to sound stupid and corny, but just add a couple keywords to it, right? Oh, we're so glad that you liked our dental practice in Atlanta. Look at that. Now you have dentist, Atlanta, right? Boom. There you go. Stupid little things like that. And you also, another thing too, is if you are a medical practice, doctor's office, chiropractor, dentist, you do fall under the HIPAA laws with your responses. You can't be like, I'm so glad you liked the root canal that we gave you today, Darren, right? You just violated HIPAA. You just outed this person for getting a root canal at a medical practice. You put his medical record on the internet for everyone to see, and that is a violation of HIPAA. So just pay attention to that. Take a minute and study the HIPAA laws, understand the rules and regulations around them. Our guys are all trained. Our responders are all trained in HIPAA. They do a course and they get certified, and that just makes it easy for us, so we don't have to worry about it. But it's important anyway, and it's also important to know how to communicate in a very nice, elegant way. And also, kind of back to the ask piece, make it a game for your staff. Make it something that they want to do. Ask them, what would you like? What kind of reward would you like if you get us a review? And you're going to be surprised. It's not going to be, I want $3,000 a review. It's probably going to be like, give me, an extra meal, or give me some extra time off, or give me a gift card to Starbucks for $5. Stupid little stuff like that, right? But the key is, ask your staff, do a little bit of a survey, figure out what that thing is that will drive them, and then gamify it. Tell them, hey, look, whoever gets the most reviews this month will win this thing, right? We created this thing for restaurants where we literally give them a stack of cards. It's like a business card, and it has a QR code going right to where you leave a review, and it has the server's name on it. It's a line. It says server underneath the line, and the server writes their name on it. And when they give them the check, they put this card in there and they say, hey, if I did a good job today, would you mind helping out and leaving me a review? We have a game amongst all the servers in the building. Whoever gets the most reviews at the end of the month gets a reward. And then they give them the check. Think about it. If that server's nice to you, you're going to leave that review.
Mm-hmm.
If that QR code is sitting right there on top of your check, you're going to pull that card out and you're going to pass it around the table, and you're going to get 4 or 5 reviews. And we've seen restaurants go from 50, 60 reviews to 1,100 reviews in a couple months, because everyone's asking, right? And then our software will detect who asked for the review, and it can give them a report at the end of each month. And it can say, okay, Steve got 20, Mary got 30, Joe got 150, Tom got 5, Elizabeth didn't get any, and you can have this whole graph, and then they can go, okay, and at their next staff meeting, just give out a reward.
Right.
Aim and keep it on top of their head, and make it something simple that they can do and play. And I'm telling you, man, something like that for a restaurant is huge, because we all read reviews of restaurants constantly.
Yeah.
Right. And you tell the server, if they're pissed off, don't give them a freaking card.
Yeah, right. It's funny because I like to dig into the psychology of things, and you're talking about, hey, if I did a good job, we have this game going on. It's more than just they're happy with, and they have that human connection. It's that as humans, right? If I help Darren achieve his next milestone, no matter how frivolous, stupid, small it is, I feel like I am invested in your success.
Yeah.
So I am vicariously getting success through you, helping you achieve what you get. So that's ultimately cool. Whenever you do this, not only is that person helping you, but you're also helping them. You're making them happy, because they're getting to feel your success by helping you. That's and wild. Chances are, when they come back to the restaurant and they see you, they're going to say, hey man, do we win?
Yeah, exactly. How we do, dude? Did we win? What'd you do? Yes, I got a $50 gift card. Thanks, buddy.
Right. And that does so much for people. So much. It's incredible.
Such a great point. It really, really is a great point. It's funny, I look at I'm always constantly evaluating, why am I doing certain things, right? Where am I trying to go? What are my next 10 years going to be like? that's kind of constantly on my mind. You know, I have kids, I have a wife, I want to achieve certain goals and milestones throughout my life. And I always like, okay, well, why did I start Thrive Reviews in the first place? Well, one, I'm a consultant. And as a consultant, I get paid by going into companies and working. And then I get bonused based on the production that I do, right? So if I help them grow, I get a bonus for that, right? That's kind of how I always have structured my consulting contracts. But the thing about that is it's a lot of work, and it keeps me away a lot and on the road a lot, right? And being a dad with kids, you obviously want to spend as much time as you can with your kids and your family if you like them, right? Which I do, right? So I started doing this drug education stuff where I'm training teachers and doing that. And that puts me in, about 20 to 25 events around the country every year. So I started bringing my kids about 10 years ago. I would bring a kid with me. Okay, we're going to go to Savannah, Georgia. Who's coming? All right, I want to come. Great. Okay, we're going to Utah. All right, Sandra, you're the biggest skier in the house. You're coming with me. We're going to go skiing. And we would do these little adventure, like mini trips. Go to Salt Lake, do an event, go skiing. Go to Utah. Go to Idaho, go dirt biking, or go to Boston and go walk the Freedom Trail. But at the same time, you're actually doing something that's really making an impact. And that's become my more and more it has become my purpose as I've gotten older, because I know that there's not many people like me that can go out and talk to that many teachers and get on that many stages with teachers and educators and make that big of an impact. If I have 600 teachers in the room, you think about it, those 600 teachers could probably reach about 1,000 kids each. That's 600,000 kids roughly right there in one talk, right? Like, that's pretty amazing impact. So I said, well, how do I do this full time, but still make money? Because I only make money when I work. And that's one of the main reasons why I started my company, Thrive Reviews. I wanted to have a solution that was needed and wanted by businesses, that was really, really helpful, that I could have, that I didn't have to be inside of it every second for it to make money. I can sign up a customer, I can give them way more value than they're spending. Usually about 10x of what they spend, they get back in return if they use our software and they let us train their staff on how to actually ask for reviews. And they start getting all these reviews and they let us respond to their reviews. It's about a 10x value. They spend a couple $100 a month or whatever it is, they're going to get about 10 times that back, if not more, depending on the type of business that they're in. So it's a exchanging in abundance. I'm giving them way more than they're paying for. But at the same time, it allows me to start pulling out of the consulting world and going more and doing drug education, and also hiring people to do the drug education. So a majority of the profits that we make with Thrive Reviews go towards the drug education. They allow me to go and do those events, and they allow me to get others to go and do those events, because I can't do every event. I get asked to do about 75 events a year, and I just can't go, because I have work and I have things to do and I have life. But I can pay someone else and say, okay, hey, Steve, I'm going to have you go to Atlanta and do this event for me. I'll buy you a hotel and a flight and a rental car and give you some money for food. Here's your speech. I'll train you, go do the talk. And then they'll go up and they'll do this talk and I can do my thing. So anyway, it's kind of an interesting thing. It just made it so that my company is not, the purpose is, yes, to help businesses grow and help businesses get more reviews and help them get found locally. But at the same time, it's to rid drugs on our planet, to actually educate kids on the dangers of drugs, which is kind of neat, right? And, all my customers know this for the most part. I let them know, like, hey, just so you know, you buying my software is probably going to reach a couple 100,000 kids with drug education, right? And it's like, well, what are you talking about? Yeah, so you're not just buying some software and Darren's going out and buying a Ferrari, right? No, Darren's not going out and buying a Ferrari. I would never go out and buy a Ferrari. I think it's a complete waste of money. Do I like Ferraris? Sure, I love Ferraris. Would I love to have a Ferrari and drive it? Yeah, it'd be fun. But am I going to go spend $300,000 on a car? No, man. You know how many seminars I can do? I can do like a couple thousand seminars for $300,000. I can hire a ton of people and have them go educate millions and millions of kids on drugs. That's more important to me, right? Anyway, it's just interesting. It all comes back to these decisions and these games that we decide that we want to play in our life. What do you want to play? Where do you want to be? And what makes you feel good about you and living your life? And find some kind of a game that you like and play it to win and have fun at it, man. Don't just play this game and for something materialistic that's going to be gone when your body dies. It's like, it's a car, it's a house. Yeah, they're nice and there's nothing wrong with them. And definitely go for it if that's your game. But what other bigger purpose can you live? What other better things can you do for this planet to make it better so that your kids will have a nice environment to live in instead of something psychotic and crazy that wants to kill itself? That's not fun, and that's not what they should grow up in. And it's our responsibility as parents and adults on this planet to try to make it better for everybody.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. My dream car, it's a Dodge Demon. So yeah, they're super cool. But over $100,000, man, and certainly not the most expensive car you can buy, but
Sure.
I wouldn't mind having a Rolls Royce or something like that. Those are pretty cool too.
Sure.
But at the same time, it's like, look, that money, like I worked my ass off for that money.
Yeah.
I'm not just giving it away to a car dealer, right?
That's
Like for something that's going to depreciate in value.
that's
Like it's just so dumb. A house, I can swallow that a little easier because that's going to, if everything goes good, make you money in the long run.
Mhm.
But a car, as much as I would love to have that car, I just can't. I can't.
I get
I
it.
can't. It's hard to even buy a new car,
Totally. You drive off the lot, you lost 25%. You're
right?
like, you're like, wait a second. You mean I could get the same car with 5,000 miles on it for 25% less?
Yeah, exactly. So I
Why am I,
mean,
why am I not doing that?
well, I
Because I
want to
want.
go back to something you said. That you were talking about. One of the things you do is you teach how to ask for reviews.
Mhm.
And I thought it was funny that you said that because you thinking about it, it's not hard. But in the moment, that's one of the hardest things I do is ask my clients for a review. That
Mhm.
that that almost to me is worse than the sales process and asking for
Yeah.
money. Like so, how do you get past that mindset of, because I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels that way, that it's uncomfortable to ask for a review. So how do you get past that mindset, and then what's the correct way to ask for a review?
So the first thing you need to do in the process is you need to understand when is the best time in the sales cycle to ask for the review, right? Real life example, I have a client that owns a furniture store, right? I bought a whole bunch of furniture from them during the pandemic and I got it 9 months later. Had they, yeah, because it was custom made, handmade wooden furniture from this place called Bear Woods Furniture in Clearwater, Florida. So they order it and they make we had a dining room table, a bedroom set, a living room set, like the coffee table and end tables all made at once.
Mm-hmm.
So it was 9 months. So had they asked me to leave a review once I placed that order and walked out that door, I wouldn't have left a review. I don't have my furniture yet. Right? I don't even know if I like it. I think I'm gonna like it. I hope I'm gonna like it. I saw it in the showroom floor, but I don't have it. It's not in my house. I'm not sitting at my dining room table going, damn, this table's badass. Right? I'm not doing that. Right. So you have to figure out, when do you ask? Once you nail that down, right? You then just have to get the mindset that people like to help people. Just, it's that simple. They like to help. Helping other people is one of the core natures that we as spiritual beings have. We like to help others. All you have to do is know that. And if you know that people like to help people, the people that you know and the people that are in your life that you've helped are going to want to help you. So, one, did you help them? Did you deliver any value to their life to make their life better in any way at all? Okay, I'm a dentist. The guy came in and he's leaving and he's crying in agony because we ruined his mouth. No, you didn't help him, right? The guy's walking out and he's like, man, the pain is gone. That abscess tooth is handled. I'm happy as hell. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. You saved my mouth. Or when I leave my chiropractor, I'm on the road for 2 weeks, and every time I come home, the first thing I do the next morning, I'm in that chiropractor's office. And he's like, "Hey, Darren, how was your trip?" I'm like, "It was okay, but that freaking bed, my hip is killing me." Oh my God, my hip's better. Thanks, Dr. Jerry. I love you. And I leave, right? He delivered something to me that helped me. If he asked me to help him, what am I going to say? Think
Of
about it,
course.
right? So that's the positioning, right? It's all about positioning in marketing. How do you position the product or service that you're offering, right? What are you comparing it to? What are you positioning it with to make it appealing and that the person wants it, right? Like you look at all the beer commercials, they'll show you the beer and then they'll show you the naked girls dancing on the beach. And the guy's like, "I want that. Give me that beer," right? Yeah, they're not going to get that, but it's positioning. So did you help them? Did you deliver any benefit to their life in any way, shape, or form? And if you did, that's the point you want to ask them to help you. And you want to ask them to help you. Make it personal, make it real. "Hey, do you mind helping Coca-Cola make a little bit more money by leaving them a review?" I don't really care about Coca-Cola making a little bit more money. I'm not going to leave them a review. "Hey, I own this restaurant. I work at this restaurant. I'm a server here. Do you mind doing me a favor or helping me out? We have a game where I can win a bonus if I get more reviews than her. And look at her. She's so much cuter than me. She's going to get way more reviews. Do you mind helping me out?" Personalize it, make it fun, but ask for the help. And man, don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. People want to help people that help them. That's just the way that it is. People want to help people that help them. And that's what your mindset needs to be. So if I'm delivering something that's of value and I'm helping them, they're not going to have any problem wanting to help me. And that kind of goes back to what you're delivering to your customers as well. Are you delivering more than they expect you to deliver? And that should be, as a business owner, as someone who operates a business or manages or runs a business, you want to deliver more than they think they're going to actually get. Okay, they're coming in to buy a piece of furniture. What are they going to get? A piece of furniture. How do I make that a little bit better? How do I make that experience of buying a piece of furniture more? How do I make it so it's not just walking into a box store and buying a piece of furniture? Right? What can I do? Maybe I can put some coffee out. Maybe I can get some great drinks out there. Maybe I can have some snacks or some food. Maybe have a nice little lounge to look at all the different colors of the material. Something to make it a little bit more than they thought they were going to get. It's called exchanging in abundance. You're exchanging with them more than they think they're going to get. And that is going to make you, one, unforgettable. Right?
It's funny you say that. Sorry to interrupt you, but there's this store in a place I used to live in, North Carolina, which is a furniture store. It's a custom furniture store, and it's really cool. What they do is they take tree stumps and make their furniture out of tree stumps. It's really cool.
Nice.
But and their furniture is expensive, but they wanted to upscale it even more and make it almost high end. So what they do, they put out chocolates and fruits, cheap champagne, and there's like a maitre d' that greets you when you come through the door, offers you champagne and a snack.
So great. It's an experience, man.
Right. You feel so
You're walking
bougie,
around with
man.
champagne, eating the chocolate. It cost him $5, dude.
Right. And you know that, but it doesn't matter because the feeling and the environment is just so like high end. Like you literally feel like you're freaking Elon Musk.
So great. You ever been to an Airbnb and there's a basket of something waiting for you with a note?
Oh yeah, I love that.
Dude, it's like this, like I did it last month. I walk in the Airbnb, there's a little tiny basket with a bottle of wine and a little thing of like fruit or whatever, and a note. "Darren, thank you so much for being our guest. We really appreciate you coming. If you need anything at all, here's our number. Give us a call." It's like, what the hell is this? This is awesome, right? It costs her $10. It's a freaking $3 bottle of wine and a cheap ass thing of fruit, right? But I'm like, man, I love this. And I'm literally like, where do I leave a review? Like, I'm leaving a review right now. That's my viewpoint, but that's how I do it. But anyway, it's anyway, you're right. It's so you got to get that mindset of people want to help people that they like.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
especially that have helped them. They want to help people that have helped them. So if you it's okay to ask, man. No, and in the worst case scenario, they're gonna say no. But honestly, then no one's going to say no. They just won't do it because they'll forget. And now it comes down to how easy can you make it for them to leave you a review? How quickly can they leave that review? And if you can get it so they can leave a review within 30 seconds, you're going to get the review. They
Right.
have to start looking around, trying to find where you are, or where's the website? Where do I leave a review? It's gone. You lost it. You can get it back later. You can send them an email or a text with a link later. That's fine. But your numbers are going to go down. Your conversion rates are going to go way down. It has to be super fast, super easy, and right at that moment when you know that they're happy. When you see that, like, oh man, I'm so glad I did this. I'm so glad I bought that food. That was delicious. How was your meal? Oh, it was awesome. How's your mouth feeling? You were in pain when you came in here. Oh my God, it's so good. Dr. Smith is amazing. Hey, that's awesome. Here, leave him a review.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. Like my story earlier, the only review I've ever left in my life was simply because they made it so easy for me to do.
That's right. And they asked, right? They asked you.
Yeah,
And they asked
absolutely.
you that one moment when you were like, yeah, this person's cool. I'll help them.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna help.
So, people want to find you. They want to get that review, those reviews thriving for them. Tell them how they can get a hold of you, how they can see your products, and where all they can find you at.
We are at thrivereviews.io. That's our website. And you can go there, you can watch some demos, you can learn all about it. You can also schedule a live demonstration to see all the other features and functionality that we have in our platform. There's a lot of things we do in there besides just reviews, but reviews is the main product that we offer. And all of our services come with humans responding to those reviews for you with communication, not AI. It's a real communication from a real person in Tampa Bay that's literally answering those reviews. And I think that's one of the things that sets us apart from everything else. We also do offer just that service. If you have reviews and you have a service, you have a process where you're getting lots of reviews, we do have a service that will get you where you can just go and get more review. We'll respond to those reviews for you. So we have a team that's all they do. So you just
Right.
add them to your Google profile, give them access to it, and then they'll just go in there and respond to all your Google reviews within 24 hours.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So as always, everybody, Darren's all his links and everything to his website and all his socials and all that stuff are going to be in the show notes and the bios and all that other stuff. And I complain about this all the time, Darren. It really frustrates me that like every platform. So on YouTube, you have description, and Instagram, you got bio. Like, can we just streamline it? Because it's all the same thing, right? A like and a subscribe and all, like, can we just streamline so we don't have to ramble all this nonsensical garbage just to get people whatever platform they're on
So,
to do what we ask. Anyway, I am done ranting now. So yeah, his links to all his stuff's going to be in the bios and the show notes. So make sure you go down there, give him tons and tons of love. This is a pretty amazing service and an awesome company. And you know me, it's ethical and they have integrity, which is the single most important thing about any business is their integrity. So once you're done doing that, head over to renownleadership.com and make sure you give me tons and tons of love because I'm your host and everybody loves your host. So Darren, I don't know if you know this, but the guests of my show, they have the honor and the privilege of getting the final word of wisdom. So my question to put you on the spot is, what is your advice for people to lead like champions?
keeping keeping it true to what we've been communicating a lot about today. I'm just going to say, really care about your customers and focus on delivering them more than they expect that they're going to get from you. And if you do that one little simple thing and actually get yourself and all your staff to have that viewpoint that these customers would not be here or coming back to us if it wasn't for us. So care about them, give them more than they expect they're going to get, and they're going to be customers forever. That's all
Absolutely. Great advice. Under promise and over deliver.
I got. Amen, baby.
Is how we say that. So, Darren, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. I really appreciate it, man. Definitely going to have you back in the future because I love talking about this stuff because I agree with you 100%. And like I said, I like digging into the psychology of things and why things happen, which this conversation's really given me a lot to think about as far as when it comes to getting people's reviews, just helping people in general. I love that piece of the conversation. So thank you so much, brother, for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, Stephen.
Absolutely. And so that's going to wrap up this week's podcast of the Renowned Leadership Podcast, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure you give me likes, reviews, comments, all that other garbage that I'm not going to spout out because you know what the deal is. You just go do it, please. Anywho, that wraps it up, everybody. Thanks for joining me this week, and I'll see you next week. And in the meantime, don't forget, lead like a champion. Goodbye, everybody.
I try to sleep, but you're deep in my mind. Got a hold of me. When I'm awake, I'm all blind.
All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up this week's episode of the Renowned Leadership Podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening to Darren and got a lot of value out of hearing what he had to say. Make sure you go check out his website at thrivereviews.com. And as always, all the links and everything for Darren and myself are going to be in the show notes or description below. So make sure you scroll down and give those a check. Also, give me a thumbs up, a like, a review, a comment. And I appreciate it, guys. Love you guys. I will see you all next week. And in the meantime, never forget, lead like a champion. Goodbye, everybody.